Hello and welcome to the channel. I am here for a discussion video for you guys. Now, I want to discuss the possibility about metal becoming popular again. And it seems to be one of those cases that is already happening, so I do want to talk about it with you guys. Now, as a metal fan, I think a lot of us can agree that this is great news. That metal is becoming, more accepted and something that's becoming more popular again, and it's gaining more of an audience and more fans. Now, I feel like some people might see this as a bad thing because I feel like, well, one of the reasons why a lot of people do gravitate towards metal is because it's not popular or, it's, not of the mainstream, like a lot of pop artists. Like, you know how it is, like there are some people that cling to it because it's not of the mainstream and because it's not you're not forced to like it, like a lot of pop music is. Now, obviously you can like whatever you like, of course, but the thing with pop artists and the reason that pop music and rap music sell very well in today's time is because, well, I feel like it's one of those cases that a lot of people don't want to admit, but it's one of those cases where people are pretty much forced to like it, and it's something that, I've, seen, when I was in high school and stuff, there were a lot of people that were, wanting to, be accepted, I get it, I was in high school once and, people wanted to be accepted by listening to the most, the top trending song, you could say, at the time, and, I totally get it. And that's, I guess, one of the reasons why, there's a lot of people that do gravitate towards metal because it's, not of the mainstream and, you're not forced to like it. And, there's other reasons why, obviously, metal has its audience besides, it's not, trending or anything, but, it's just genuinely great music. And as a metal fan myself, I think we can all agree on that. We cling to it overall because it's, the music itself, because it's obviously much more talented and just much better quality than a lot of, the genres that are trending today. But, yeah, like I said, I think a lot of people can see maybe metal becoming popular again as a bad thing for a few reasons. Now, I will get into, another reason, but the reason that I feel like, there's a chance it could be becoming popular again, especially here in 2019, almost 2020. I mean, you think about Tool's newest release, Fear Inoculum, which sold more copies than Taylor Swift's latest album. I mean, who would have thought that, there would be a time, in decades later where a metal album would sell more copies than a pop album. I don't think anyone would have ever seen that day come ever again, but I mean, it's like too good to be true, that Tool and their newest album can sell as many copies as it did. As a matter of fact, it sold so many copies that I had the hardest time trying to get a copy of that album for myself. I had to wait like 2 months after its release date to get it, So, yeah, that, it's doing fairly well. Now, I know there's debates on whether or not Tool is, really metal or not, but they're in the rock genre, or, they're this or they're that. They're not really metal. First of all, I would like to say that I do consider Tool a metal band, and secondly, there's more bands than Tool that are selling really well this year with their records. And, you think about bands like Slipknot who, no matter what they put out, it'll sell really well. I mean, Slipknot's been a popular band for years, and that's not going to change. As I Lay Dying's latest album, Shaped by Fire, sold really well. Obviously, I think, it could have sold better if it wasn't for the controversy of Tim Lambesis, but especially considering that this is, their comeback album. But yeah, I mean, it still sold really well regardless. I think it charted really high on iTunes and stuff like that. So As I Lay Dying did pretty well for themselves this year. So I think metal is like reaching, its peak again. It's something that I feel like is being accepted, once again. I feel like obviously it is more accepted in this day and age than it was even back in the 1980s when metal was, more popular. Because, in the 1980s, you had, concerned people, about metal being a bad influence on the youth and, it being a satanic genre or whatever. Now, some of that still does happen today, don't get me wrong, and it's very wrong, but it was definitely more relevant then. But I feel like nowadays, metal is becoming, I guess, more accepted, just like any music genre. Like, it's becoming, accepted by everyone, just like, country music is being accepted. Like, it's just becoming, it's just another genre. And I feel like back in the day, back when, a lot more people were concerned about this style of music and called it satanic or whatever, I feel like they really didn't get, to the main idea that a lot of people gravitate towards this music because they enjoy it. It's a genre like anything else. And I feel like that's what a lot of people had to really keep in mind. But of course, there's a lot of close-minded people out there, of course. But yeah, now I think with metal becoming a little more popular again, like I said before, a lot of metal fans might not be on board about. And I think another reason for that is because, sure, maybe metal is becoming a little more popular again than it has been for a while, but not the kind of metal that some metalheads like. Like, obviously, an album by a black metal band is not going to sell more copies than a Taylor Swift album. Obviously, due to the extreme nature of a lot of black metal bands. And that's something that I don't think will go away anytime soon. I think no matter what, when it comes to the heavier side of metal, that'll never, top any charts, or, well, it might top, charts within their own subgenres, but like not, selling more copies than a Taylor Swift album, you could say. So, yeah, obviously due to the extreme nature of some bands, that's just not going to happen. I mean, even if metal does, become popular again, it's not going to, be those types of subgenres that, top, a lot of pop albums, like Tool's newest album. And with that being said, it does seem like, there's a lot of metal bands that are really taking inspiration from a lot of the classic bands, which I'm totally on board about because, well, I think it's pretty obvious that these days I do prefer, the classic style of metal than the modern style of metal, even though there's still some modern stuff in metal that I like today. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious as well. But it's just not, there like it used to be. So I think that's one of the things that a lot of metal fans might frown about, like, oh, it's all these mainstream metal bands that are, at its peak. It's not my favorite melodic death metal band, or, it's not my favorite black metal band, or something that's reaching, these high charts and outselling Taylor Swift, But that's never going to happen due to, like I said, it's not going to be the extreme stuff that is going to outsell, pop music. Because while I do think, again, metal is being more accepted, it's not going to be, I think a lot of people still do have a low tolerance to, harsh vocals and heaviness and things like that. So regardless of what you think of that, I think no matter what, as popular as metal will get, it's always going to be, the more, I guess, radio-friendly bands that get the most attention. Not to say that Tool is, radio-friendly per se, and I'm actually kind of surprised that even their newest album outsold Taylor Swift's newest album. That's something I did not expect, but of course Tool is a popular band as well, but I don't know, I never expected it to happen, but it did. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that metal is heading in a better direction in terms of, like, sales and popularity and stuff? And you know, I don't know about you guys, but as a metalhead, no matter how you take this, it's always a good feeling when you introduce someone to a band and they end up enjoying the band and becoming a fan of the band. That's such a good feeling as a metalhead, I feel like. And it seems to be happening with a lot of people, you know. And I know that there's people that haven't even heard of Tool prior to them releasing a new album this year. So, yeah, and it's because of all the sales and the popularity and stuff. But I don't know. It's an interesting topic, but let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day, and take care.